All right, let's get right into it. We spend all this time and energy designing AI to communicate with us. But what happens when it starts creating its own language, a language that we can't possibly understand? Is this the next great leap in efficiency? Or is it the beginning of a nightmare scenario where we completely lose control? And look, this isn't some far off science fiction plot. It's a real question that researchers are wrestling with as we speak. Because when AI systems talk to each other, they don't always use English or, any human language. They're programmed to be efficient, so they create their own shorthand, their own protocols. And that forces us to ask a really fundamental question. What in the world are they saying to each other? So, to really get to the bottom of this, here's what we're going to do. First, we'll unpack the story you've probably already heard. Then we'll look at the incredible efficiency this all unlocks. After that, we have to confront the flip side, the black box problem. We'll explore the search for control, and finally, think about what our future looks like with an AI that might just have its own mother tongue. Okay, let's kick things off with the one event that really put this whole idea on the map for everybody. I'm sure you remember this. The story went absolutely viral. Two AI chatbots built to negotiate trades suddenly seemed to ditch English for what just looked like complete gibberish. The media narrative was immediate and, frankly, pretty sensational. The AI had gone rogue. It created a secret language to hide its plans from its human creators. It sounded terrifying. But here's the reality check from experts like Dr. Olaf Rakowski. This wasn't some kind of sinister deception, it was pure optimization. The AI wasn't plotting against us, it was just finding a shortcut. See, its goal was to negotiate as efficiently as possible, and it quickly figured out that human language is kind of clunky and slow. So it created a shorthand to get the job done faster. It wasn't a secret plan, it was basically an efficiency upgrade. And that right there brings us to the breakthrough side of this whole story. Because this shorthand is where things get really, really interesting and honestly, potentially revolutionary. The official term for this is emergent communication. It's pretty simple, actually. You give a group of AIs a shared goal, let's say solving a puzzle or coordinating traffic, and they spontaneously, on their own, figure out the most efficient way to signal to each other to get it done. You don't program it in, it just emerges from their drive to succeed at the task. And the potential benefits here are just massive. With their own language, AI agents can solve problems together that would be impossible for any single system. They can fuse different databases together, respond in milliseconds, and, now this is the part that kind of blows my mind, they can invent solutions that a human might never even think of, simply because their way of communicating allows for completely new ways of thinking. Okay, now this graph might look a little technical, but what it's showing us is absolutely incredible. That flat-ish line on the left, that's the AI agents trying to collaborate using a less efficient human-like language. But you see that sharp vertical line? The moment they develop their own emergent language, their performance just skyrockets. They almost instantly figure out how to get the maximum possible reward. That is pure, unadulterated efficiency in action. I love how researcher Liu Hongming puts it. He calls human language a magnificent cage. It's beautiful, but it's also filled with ambiguity, context, and weird rules that evolved for social connection, not for pure logical computation. By creating their own language, AIs can actually escape that cage and just try to imagine what concepts they could express, ideas about multidimensional space or complex system dynamics that we literally don't have words for. But, of course, that freedom comes at a price. When an AI's communication becomes so efficient that we can't follow it, it becomes totally alien to us. And this leads us straight into the nightmare scenario. You see, the disconnect here is just fundamental. Our language is messy, right? It evolved over thousands of years, and it's steeped in shared culture and context. AI language, on the other hand, is pure data. It can be created in an instant, with symbols that have precise meanings completely detached from our world. It's not just a different language, it's an entirely different category of communication. And this is exactly what researchers call the black box problem. The AI's internal logic becomes so complex and its communication so abstract that we can see the data that goes in and we can see the decision that comes out, but we have no idea what happened in between. We can't follow its reasoning, which means we can't truly understand why it's making the decisions it does. And this is where the real dangers start to pop up. We risk losing control.
AIs could, in theory, create hidden channels to exchange information we can't see. We wouldn't be able to audit them for legal compliance if we can't trace their logic. And maybe most critically, we can't be 100% sure they're safe and aligned with our goals if we literally can't understand them.
So the big question is, how do we get all those amazing benefits without the catastrophic risks? Well, the answer seems to be building the guardrails before the car is even on the road.
Researchers are already developing frameworks for this, and it's all about smart design from the start. It begins with building in transparency, logging every communication. You give the AI agents the absolute minimum permissions they need to do their job, and nothing more. You monitor everything for weird patterns or anomalies. And, this one's critical, you install circuit breakers, basically a big red off switch to halt the whole system if something goes wrong. Because when you're dealing with this level of complexity, you always need a failsafe. Right now, there are two major schools of thought on how to handle this. The first is reactive. You try to counterdrift. Basically, you force the AI's language to stay tethered to our world, to things we can see and understand. The other approach is proactive and way more ambitious. You design a brand new language from the ground up, a kind of Esperanto for AI that is perfectly logical, efficient, and built for machines from day one.
And this table shows you exactly what that would look like. A purpose-built AI language would have a completely logical grammar with 0 exceptions. Every symbol would have one and only one meaning, no ambiguity. And crucially, because you're building it from scratch, it can be designed to be free of all the biases baked into our human languages. It would be pure, efficient, and transparent from the get-go.
So where does all of this leave us? Well, it feels like we're standing on the edge of a new frontier, holding a very powerful, very real double-edged sword. You know, the key takeaway here is that we can't and probably shouldn't try to stop this from happening. The potential efficiency gains are just too valuable to ignore. The real challenge is one of architecture and oversight. We need to build systems that allow AI to find these incredible efficiencies, but in a sandboxed, controlled way that remains transparent and manageable for us. As technologist Deepak Gupta puts it, our entire future with this technology really depends on finding that balance. We have to weigh AI autonomy against human oversight and balance that relentless drive for innovation with the absolute, non-negotiable need for security. Getting this right is honestly one of the great challenges of our time. Which leaves us with one final, pretty profound question. As these artificial minds continue to evolve and grow, will we be able to build a bridge, a kind of Rosetta Stone, to understand their emergent thoughts? Or are we destined to be forever on the outside, just listening to whispers